This is the Twin Cities Real Estate Investing Show. Real stories, real success in Twin Cities real estate. Join your hosts, Adam Tafel and Tim Swierczek, as they dive into the world of Twin Cities real estate investing. Together, they share valuable insights and practical tips to help both new and seasoned investors navigate the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. With a focus on relatable stories from real people, this show will empower you with the knowledge and confidence to thrive in your investing journey. Guys, take it from here.
What's going on, Tim?
Hey, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. We've got our good friend Kevin Apollinario today.
Yeah, we do. We talk about how we met Kevin in the episode, so it's probably not worth getting into, but like what you're going to find from Kevin is that he's... I always knew he was thoughtful, like he's thoughtful to people for sure, but he's also thoughtful in a how he does things kind of way. And I thought that would be very interesting to discuss. And so we go, we don't just talk about, like normally we will talk to people about their investments as they progress, but here had an opportunity to really, someone who was willing to talk about how he viewed things, right? And what he was thinking as he did it, which I thought was an interesting twist on the episode.
Yeah, Kevin was not a real estate investor a year ago. So he's bought 2 deals in the past 12 months. And my frustration with like Bigger Pockets and similar podcasts was always that like they're interviewing these guys that own 500 doors and they're just kind of unrelatable. And so when we set out to make this podcast, we really wanted to interview the full spectrum of investor because we think a lot of you guys listening are where Kevin was at 11 months ago, 12 months ago. So this is a guy who made it happen in 2025, and he's just one of the all-time nice guys, and here he is. Investors, if a deal gets messy, call Network Title. They can handle the BRRRR, the 1031, mixed-use, commercial, whatever it takes so you can close on time. Mentor of mine, guy who I really respect, Kirk Duckwall, says working with Network Title is kind of like having another personal assistant. That's how on the ball these people are. Network Title, complex deals made simple. Link in the show notes. Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Investing Show, brought to you by Shook. Shook is the all-in-one platform to help you manage your rentals, built for real estate investors just like us. Shook has great customer service. Anytime I have an issue with Shook, I get to talk to one of the guys who's actually working in the software, not some random line of, support people who don't really care. I'm actually talking to the guys who own the company. So, at just $5 per unit per month, I think it's totally worth checking out shookrentals.com, booking a live demo. Check the show notes. We are offering a 20% discount. Use our code TCREI20. Now on to the main episode.
All right.
What's up, Kevin?
Hello.
How do we pronounce your last name, bud?
Apollinario with Italian flair. Apollinario. Yes.
Mamma mia.
I'm not Italian. It's an Italian name. But
what's the story there? How do you
Did you steal the name?
Yeah.
So it is a complex history, but my father's side of the family, I am one generation removed from slavery, believe it or not. And that was a name given to, if you did not have a name, that's the name you got. So my great-grandfather was given that name essentially by his owner, I guess, who released him because he didn't know what his name used to be. So,
is this in the United States or a different country?
Brazil.
Okay, that makes more sense, timeline-wise.
Yes.
Yeah. So Brazil, that was that was just kind of the given. Your name is very popular in Brazil, I take it?
Yes, and I learned, I think I want to say the Philippines, that name has a lot. It's like they have like this kind of local story legend thing where it's like Apollinario's the name of like a folklore hero. Okay. There, and my wife and I just got back from a cruise, and I feel like every other attendant we met was telling us like, "Are you from the Philippines? Do you know about this person?" I'm like, no, but so I got some Googling to do about my name, actually.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, why don't we tell the folks why did we both want Kevin to be on the pod so badly? You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's the reason I want him on the pod is actually probably, even though Kevin has a story of getting properties, I want to actually I want to obviously touch on his story, but I really want to get into the mindset because Kevin, unlike most new investors, really got a point and then he jumped in, right? So you were cautious, and then you jumped and you went full steam ahead. Whereas I see, and the cautious part was shorter than I would say normal. Now we might have caught you at the end of the curve, but I want to really hear what you thought and how you, and talk through not just like what you did, but why you did it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I agree with everything Tim said. I think real estate is hyper local and real estate is happening right now, and you're somebody who's doing it right now. Like we'll interview someone here who's closed 12 deals in the past 6 years, but they haven't bought something in a year and a half.
Or even 4 or 5, right? Yeah.
Right. And you closed on something weeks ago and you just had to find tenants for it. You're going through everything in real time. So, and you're incredibly, just cool to talk to, a nice guy, great energy.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody likes you. So, at least in our clique. So thanks for being here, dude.
No, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. So,
should we do a little background? Just like, where did you come from? Because you have kind of an interesting career path too. You want to just give us the short version of that?
Oh, sure. Good timing on this because I just did a job interview where I had to have like a 2-minute tell me about yourself condensed. So, when I was a kid, I had kind of like a rough patch. I'm not going to sit here and say I had like some rough upbringing. I didn't. But, my parents had split up. I was in a new part of the country. I wasn't getting on super well in, and I was just kind of struggling in general with life as a teenager, and I ended up dropping out of high school. And the worse and worse I felt about things that were going on, the more and more energy I poured into what was my escape at this time, this game called World of Warcraft. So as a result of this, I got really good at this game. I was considered the best in the world at my role. I was making money. I had a Twitch stream that I had sponsorships through the team I played with. I would do coaching. I would, like I said, do live streaming, and I didn't have like the discipline, I think, to like turn that into, it absolutely would have been a career path, I think, if I had put more into it. But I think importantly, it taught me that relationship between like trying really, really hard at something, coming to enjoy it through that effort, and then the fulfillment of doing the thing that you love, and that whole circle became a cornerstone of how I look at my work, primarily, how I've structured my life. And so going forward, I move out. Food is the first thing, the professional world that kind of stuck with me. And so I ended up going to culinary school, became a chef, and was in that world for about 7 years.
But you also, again, going back to your theme, you went real deep in culinary school, right? We're not talking about the local corner store, right? You studied with masters and stuff, right?
Yeah, I was the first student from my culinary school to make the finals of a national cooking competition. And I was working at the time, living in Madison, one of the best restaurants in the city. It was a James Beard nominated restaurant. If you don't know what that is, there's 750,000 restaurants in America. Every year, 400 or 500 get a nomination or award. So it's like 0.1% of kitchens. And, I'm doing all this, practicing for my competition, just working this super high pressure urgency job. And I love it, but then COVID happens and everything like brick walls, right? That whole industry completely, I won't say flatlined, but it really stopped short once COVID started. And so I was forced to reflect on what I was doing, and I realized I'm deeply passionate about this work. I loved it. And I saw a path forward with it. But the chefs I looked up to and the kind of 3 Michelin world I was trying to work in, I didn't think I would be happy if I did that long term. Mm-hmm. You really kind of sell your soul if you want to do that, honestly, in a big way. Your work is kind of your life at that point. And I knew I needed to change, didn't know what that would look like. So I did something kind of drastic. I moved to Florida, no family or friends, but it was like I'd always wanted to go there.
From Madison, correct?
From Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that was clear. Yeah.
And
No Ashley.
No Ashley. This is en route to Ashley. So I get down there, and I actually I think because COVID was happening, I got to rent like an apartment that I never would have with my income been accepted for. It was like, I think they had dropped rents by like 40 or 50% to like kind of make it through. But it was just really awesome, like kind of resort style living, but I couldn't afford it. And I remember like more than half of my income was just going to rent. And that stress I was feeling with money was like, normally I would think, okay, I'll just work more, get a second job. But that was kind of the catalyst for, I'll come back to this later. That was where I started to pay more attention to money and where real estate had its first kind of like, this is a thing kind of moment for me. But I work a burner job at the time for me because I'm coming from like fine dining, kind of cutting edge culinary world to working at a Whole Foods. And it was pleasant enough, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. The upside is that I met at the time, my girlfriend, now she's my wife, Ashley Carnes, Ashley Polinario now. And that period of my life, honestly, was very much categorized by like our time together. It was very adventurous. It was so much fun, that sort of initial period. And, as time went on, I realized, okay, I need to change. I'm not invigorated by my work anymore. And I tried a couple things. I tried doing, started my own meal prep business. I didn't do too well with that. I tried going back into fine dining. And I just wasn't super thrilled with that. So I had a friend tell me about, this is where the software part comes in, tell me about software boot camp. And I'd never written a single line of code. But at the time, I didn't feel like I had a good alternative. So I kind of all in on this thing. And it's really like you're immersed 12 plus hours a day of every day you're writing code. You're learning how to become a programmer. And after less than 6 months of writing that first line, I get a call from Travelers Insurance, which is the company here. I get a job, and that's how I kind of got to Minnesota. So that was a big change, but I have family here. It was kind of a stroke of luck, I'll say, because my mom's here, my father's here, and I have aunts here, and one of my brothers is here. Another one's coming soon, actually. So since then, I've... I guess speeding up to current date, I just accepted a role with Amazon as a software engineer.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll go more into that later. I want to try to focus more on the real estate, I'm sure, for the podcast, but it's...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been talking about wanting this Amazon gig for as long as I've known you. It's been one of the most important things. So that's why I'm clapping.
Thank you. It was a really, really, something I've been working on for 2 years, really, to try to get, a shot with them. So... But yeah, now it's real estate kind of just recently came into my life, and I'm a software engineer now working on Amazon's logistics network. I work on software that sits inside of trucks, tracks GPS location, driver behavior, status of the vehicle, really related to the kind of logistics pipeline that they have. So
Got it.
Cool.
So real estate hit your radar, it sounded like. Mm-hmm. Let's get it at least to the Minnesota part of it, because I think it'll be, I don't know, maybe not, but tell us about that. How did it hit your radar, and what did you do prior to meeting us?
Okay, so going to Florida, we're backtracking a little bit to when I was in Florida. Like I said, I'd moved somewhere that I couldn't afford really. At that point in my life, I'm 24. I don't know a lot about money. It pays okay once you get established. Once you make a sous position or exec chef position, then you're making good money. But until then, you don't make a ton. I was making like 36, maybe 40 a year, and just constantly broke. I was like, 50% of your income going just to rent, not utilities, food, groceries, nothing. It was just, I thought to myself, man, there's got to be a better way, because I would get paid and it would just like, and I remember thinking to myself, because I always worked a lot when I was in culinary school, living in Madison. I was like, I'll just get another job. But there's something that was like, I need to know more about money. Like, I'm not good at this, And so I read, I feel like is a really common thread for real estate investors, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's the first financial book I read. And so that kind of inspires me to like, because it's not a book about real estate, but it kind of is. That was his vehicle really for building wealth and teaching about like assets versus liabilities. And so I signed up for, it was this free kind of weekend seminar thing where they talked about real estate. And I go to this thing. They talk a little bit about, what's it called when you do the, how am I forgetting the name of this? The, like when wholesaling. So they introduced the concept of wholesaling, flipping, just the kind of general things you can do in real estate.
Sure.
But then they say, okay, if you pay $200, you can go to this kind of paid all-in weekend thing. And I signed up for that because I'm curious and I want to learn more. It ends up being this like $30,000 masterclass syndication thing, which I didn't do, but I learned a lot about the world while I was there.
Yeah.
About the world of real estate and what it can do for you and how people make money. And I thought I was going to get into it then, but I don't think I had the courage.
You're still in Florida?
Yes, I'm still in Florida.
What was the group that was putting this stuff on?
I want to say it was Fortune something.
Builders.
There was alliteration. Fortune Builders, Fortune
Maybe.
something.
Okay.
I could find that later.
Sure,
if
it
you're
doesn't
interested.
matter that much, but I'm just curious.
But that was when Ashley and I started dating, and I ended up not really going into. I think it's a good thing in hindsight that I didn't, because really now I'm a believer that like I think you should be investing in yourself and like bringing your income to a level that it's easier to do real estate. Like when I was making $15 an hour, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What was the pitch? It was they were trying to pitch you on a $30,000 course or training, or was it that you would invest $30,000 in someone else's syndication?
The $30,000 was for effectively like a course. Like you would get one-on-one coaching, mentoring.
Sure.
And
brutal.
They would teach you how to wholesale or flip or do long-term rentals, whatever.
In total, I've spent well over $100,000.
Yeah.
That's insane.
In total, you know, that includes mortgage-related stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here bashing it either. I think
I
think that it's, if I had the money or maybe even more courage, I think I probably would have been successful doing it, if I'm being honest. Like I've always had the work ethic to just go and do a lot of something, but I didn't pull the trigger. And
But you could have engaged in like the local meetup community. You could have gotten hooked up in Florida with a good investor-friendly agent and lender. And I doubt there's anything in the $30,000 course that community wouldn't have given you.
Yeah,
They probably would have given you accountability and more of like a, step-by-step approach. But that's why I think it's silly.
Yeah, I think it would have been an avenue into the industry. I don't think it would have been the best choice at the time. I think I would actually take a lot more from that sort of thing now that I've done a couple of deals, and I would know what I'm looking for. I would be a little bit more intentional with the information and sort of, the relationship with whatever the mentorship would be. But I mean, I met you guys for free, and you guys have taught me pretty much everything I know so far. So it's like, but yeah, that was kind of how I got into, that was how the idea kind of planted.
Okay.
So then fast forward, I get this job. My income triples, and I'm just like, I want to not screw this up. So I just start tearing through finance books, and I'm reading Dave Ramsey, J.L. Collins, pretty much every finance book I can get a hand on. I'm trying to learn as much about personal finance as I can. And
any cool takeaways from those books for those who haven't read them?
I would say a lot of it boils down to, don't chase status. Don't buy status stuff until you can afford it and know what that means. Put away a portion of every dollar you make and have the discipline to save and invest before you spend on wants and, the things that you want. I think it's just, that's kind of the general theme. If you do those two things, you're going to be fine, but that kind of teaches me, honestly, as I start integrating those habits into my life, as I start working, that sort of practice of like, I started putting away a lot of my income that I was making, and over the next couple of years, I would be maxing out my 401k. I learned what an HSA is and how to invest in that and why it's a good investment vehicle. And some of this stuff is kind of for not everybody works a W-2 job, but for somebody who does, you work in a Fortune 500 corporate job, you're going to have access to these things. So I'm doing all of the tax advantage investment vehicles, and I have 6 months savings, just trying to do things by the book, right? Got my credit cleaned up.
Sorry to cut you off, but pay yourself first totally changed my life.
Yep.
Like, I'm not even that big of a reader, but I did read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and like his point about like, I've gone through periods as an entrepreneur where I don't have a check coming in for 60 days or so. Tim's been there too. And not once in the past, I guess, 9 years where I set everything up, have I turned anything off autopilot. Mm-hmm. My gosh, it's such a game changer. Instead, and like having a budget maybe works with some people. And I don't know if this is a Kiyosaki thing. Maybe it's just an Adam thing, but like budgets are really boring and budgets are kind of like negative facing. Mm-hmm. Have an aggressive investing thing that you can't turn off. And then, okay, I've got $2,000 left. I guess that's my budget. Uh-huh. So go on.
Honestly, to your point, I'm a big believer in, I've tried budgeting, and it's something that I still believe in the power of it. And it's something that I want to integrate into my life in some fashion, if only for the real estate, keeping track of expenses, income, outgo, all that stuff. But I'm a big advocate now for getting like SoFi or Ally or just a banking app that has a nice suite of automation features, because that's essentially what I build everything off of. All of the smart stuff I did with money is automated. I don't actively make decisions with it really anymore at all. And it's where I want the money to go. I think about that one time, I set it up. Every time I get some kind of direct deposit, the decision is made and the money moves where I want it to, right? I'm a big proponent of that.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with the concept, it's like you will work your butt off to pay your mortgage. You'll work your butt off to pay for groceries during a slimmer time of yields or whatever income. But it's not human nature to pick up that extra shift or make that extra call so that you can put $600 in your SEP IRA. So the pay yourself first, just take care of all that stuff because you're going to hustle to pay your mortgage, right?
Yes. Yep.
And automations are essentially digital habits, right? Is what you're talking about. And so you took the need for you to do it out of it, so it would just automatically happen. But we all have habits, and you either have good habits or bad habits or no habits. But no matter what way you cut it, like even if you have no habits, your habits chaos.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
that's a good.
So you just set up habits that were exactly how you wanted them, and boom, 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 right? So that works out good.
Yeah. And it really was, before I even got my first check, I set up, I kind of broke down, here's how much I'm going to make, here's how much I need to max my 401k, to go into emergency funds, HSA, right? It's like I didn't really change it during the 2 years I worked at Travelers, close to 3 years. And that ultimately, as I would step into the real estate world, is what really allowed me and enabled me to do my deals. Honestly, all my funding mostly came from my tax advantage accounts and leveraging loans against them, or for this most recent deal, kind of liquidating some of those the money in them to be able to afford the down payment. But I think in general, like building that habit of like saving the money you're making and just having that, kind of routine structure around dollars that come your way is really key to like being able to do deals in general. No matter what, like you're going to have to put away, you're going to have to plan in some capacity for doing them,
Yeah. So later, I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but later let's talk about down payment, because I think attitudes that could have even changed over time, right? But yeah, okay. So this is all stuff before you met us. I recall, if I'm remembering correctly, that you contacted me through Bigger Pockets through the messaging system. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how did you find me?
Evan is how I found you.
Oh, Evan.
Evan.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Evan.
I can't
Former
remember.
guest, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you, Evan.
So shout out to Evan. And I think I made a post. I'm trying to remember the history. I made a post saying, hey, Twin Cities area, looking to get started. Hello. He was the first person, I think, to reach out, and he recommended me to you. But I think he also, somehow I got a link to, you guys had just done the St. Paul kind of analytics episode.
I sent you that.
Okay,
After
you sent me
we
that.
Met. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you asked me if I would meet you for coffee. Yes. And it was at a time where I was like, yeah, but, and you were very gracious, but I'm like, I can, but it's got to be kind of like, this is the tight window and this is the area we can do it in.
Oh,
because I can't really drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I go to meet Tim, I guess is the first like concrete step into the world. We meet at a Caribou Coffee, and, it was actually, I don't think in a way that you know, Tim, but very impactful for me because I had just read The Millionaire Next Door. And that book, its main idea is you can't see wealth. You can't look at somebody and see it, and it's a lot of what you see is, when you see somebody with a nice car, a big house, that doesn't always mean that they have a healthy balance sheet.
Correct.
Right? And I'm not trying to, you were dressed fine. You just were not, you didn't look like, you fit the bill of the person.
Tim.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. But it's like, in talking to you, in the amount of knowledge that you had about money and real estate and like investing and the way you explained leverage, I was just like, this guy's a wizard, And I remember going home and like Ashley, my poor wife, complete fire hydrant of just like, you have no idea who I just met. I was so excited to talk to him. He told me about leverage and this and that. And that kind of experience for me, it really got me excited. And I remember listening to the podcast too. I think before I came and met you, I had listened to it.
It could be because we had messaged back and forth a little. So that's possible.
Yes. And my follow-up after meeting Tim was, because then I was like, okay, Tim's my lender. I got a lender. I'm assembling the team to go buy a piece of real estate. And then I call Adam. And I don't think I realized how just getting started you guys are with the podcast, because I remember talking to him and being like, hold on, I know this voice. Is this the Adam Tafel? I think I was like one of you guys' first viewers, and it's like, I thought you guys were much bigger than, I hope you guys, have this resounding success, millions of viewership, but I might have been viewer number 3 or something. And I was like, Adam Tafel, wow. So I remember talking to Adam and just kind of all in on real estate at that point. And let me actually backtrack quick because, the thing that triggered me to even, okay, I'm doing real estate now, was not actually a real estate book. It was a software kind of career book by John, I want to say his last name is Sonnemeyer. And he's a proponent of software engineers purchasing real estate because you make a 6-figure salary and you have the income to afford down payments and do it. And he just explained, I remember the way he explained leverage in a way that really made sense to me that I don't think I truly understood from my previous real estate knowledge. And that, like, let's say that you have $10,000 to invest and you put it in the market, and then another person has that same $10,000, they put it in a condo, $100,000 condo, they put 10% down. If the condo goes up 10% in value, that person has doubled their investment. If the market goes up 10%, that person has gotten a 10% return. And just that kind of like, hold on, wait a minute, like you are really catapulting your gains by doing this. That sort of understanding of it really was like, hold on, okay, I need to buy a piece of real estate. That was the catalyst, because I'd wanted to do it and it had kind of sat in the background, but I didn't think I could. I didn't understand financing to the point where it's like, okay, you can actually put 5% down or 3.5%. I didn't know how accessible it already was to me. Like the second I got a job at Travelers, I probably could have started looking, but that was, once I had that kind of light bulb moment, tearing through real estate books. I read, I think, nearly every single book that Brandon Turner has published. And, I had this like 2-week period where I was going through nearly one book a day, just listening to audiobooks. And listening on in the car, and I had these waterproof earbuds. I would listen in the shower, and I was just like totally immersed in like, I'm going to do this. And then
Listen in the shower is pretty hardcore.
That is pretty hardcore.
yes, but I loved it. And it was just like, I enjoy learning things, you know, and to me, I was learning about something that I was really excited about. And I think just recognizing the opportunity that I could do it, you know, and where it had previously felt out of reach was like, okay, let's go do it. I was really excited. So
Yeah, you were, and that's what I was trying to. So we met, and you got excited again, and then you talked to Adam, and then from that meeting to the time you found and purchased a property, how long do you think it was? Was it 2 months? 3 months?
Well, I met you for the first time outside of a duplex on the 400 block of Ashland, or it could have been the 300 block. And you were definitely ready to go. In retrospect, we're both happy that you didn't buy that particular duplex. Now, like, would that duplex have made it through the inspection period? I'm not sure. And it honestly, that was a pretty sweet location to own something on that block.
Ashland's
of Ashland.
a good block, street in general, isn't it?
Yeah, and duplexes are super rare, especially south of Selby. Oh, Doomy Thompson was sitting in this chair last, and we were explaining how south of Selby, north of Summit is pretty special. But I met Kevin. We walked through. We spent a lot of time in this duplex talking about potential renovations, going over like the cost of basically everything. And then you wanted to offer on it. That was it. Like, it was the first place you saw, or maybe we looked at two, and then we went to Nina's.
We saw that one. We were gonna go look at another one.
No,
and
we definitely were at another one. I have a distinct memory of that.
I'm remembering. It was a very nice, more renovated, updated one.
Yeah.
That was a couple of, I think it was
slightly
on the same
overpriced.
street. Yes.
Yep. And on the other side of Selby, which is way less special than, or I'm sorry, the other side of Dale. It was west of Dale, which is less special.
Yes.
But we were writing an offer. We were writing an offer within 2 hours of meeting each other. So he jumped right in.
Yeah.
So it was, so you were probably closed in 45 to 60 days after meeting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Sounds
that.
right.
Well, do you want to, unless you have something to interject, let's talk about the places that you looked at and ultimately passed on, or the sellers just didn't. I mean, you know what it was with that duplex? Shout out to that agent for being whatever. It was listed active on the MLS. It was exited active in showing time.
And then, I remember.
And I talked to the agent. I'm like, hey, just letting you know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, we're working through one offer right now. That's what he said, working through an offer. So how do you interpret that? It sounds like they have an offer, right?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Dude, they were under an inspection contingency with an executed offer. So Kevin and I, and this was this Thanksgiving Day also? Or it was the day before Thanksgiving?
Yes. Yep.
Because I was supposed to go out of town to my in-laws. Kids, the casserole has tinfoil on it in my fridge ready to pack up the car. And I happily delayed all of this for my new client, Kevin, like any good agent would, just to learn. Dude, I was so mad at that agent to learn that it was already.
I remember how mad you were. So yes, you were.
Dude.
But you should be. It was
the day before Thanksgiving, hours. And also just like, do your job. The job is so simple. Do it, So anyways, I've been talking for too long. What was your perspective on
Well, I was like, I had a lot of confidence in not myself being able to, I guess, how can I put this? Like, I didn't think I could fail by working with the two of you because you had so much experience and specialized in what I was trying to do. So I felt that even if I was going in there, if it was actually a lemon, that you would not let me buy a lemon. And that, not that, I was just going to go and offer on every building I looked at. I was still looking at, okay, what's rent? What is my payment going to be roughly? I was still making sure that it made sense to at least look at it. I wasn't walking into something that I would just never buy, But we looked at that place and, oh my gosh, my wife, we were kind of heartbroken about that one. We were very excited about, but I mean, that was, in a way, that was good too, because now it's like, I think it's better that we went to a less desirable area, and now we can look forward to that. And I also love where we live now, but it's like it didn't go the way we wanted it to. It's probably for the best that it didn't in hindsight. But we looked at, there was another one that was, I can't remember. It was by a college of some kind, like right across the street from, you told me not to buy it. We were inside of it. I want to say,
Was this in St. Paul?
it was in St. Paul. I don't think we looked at,
Oh, it was by Concordia. It
Yes.
was like on Selby. That place was awful.
yeah.
So let's talk about why. I mean, local real estate show. By Concordia, I mean, that area is modest. It's better part of, what do you call that? Like East Frogtown, or what would it, I mean, because it's
No,
east
not
of
at all.
Frogtown, right? It's
No,
better
because
than that.
it's south of 94, so it's definitely not Frogtown. It's Summit Hill, Summit
Okay.
University.
But that's the bad
technically.
part of Summit University, right?
It's
I mean,
not
in relation to, like, if you're looking at the area.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking of
I wouldn't say it's the bad part.
Well, okay.
But it's definitely, since you're right on Selby. Now, if he would have been tucked in literally one street, that's a great area, which would have been Hague. So this would have been on the corner of Hamlin and Selby.
Okay.
And and then Selby goes over
big
8
hill?
Mill
Yeah.
Hill.
Sure.
So no, it's not a bad area at all. Just like any other neighborhood, as you get closer to commercial stuff and as you get closer to, like if you would have been looking on Marshall, then it starts to get what I would say bad. It feels very industrial. It's just kind of weird. But this place was listed for what, like $350, $375 probably. It was just a big, ugly duplex that would have been kind of annoying to rent, busy road. Probably some CapEx stuff that we didn't like. Old windows. The woodwork was painted, so it wasn't giving you any of like the cool old duplex stuff. And you have options, man. So why buy this crappy one?
Yep. Yeah.
That's probably what I thought.
It was, I remember walking in and being like,
You thought it was
Yeah, it was just like, okay, it's this. I could I could rent it, I think Adam's vote of no confidence was definitely the thing that was like, okay, let's not do this. Let's move on, because there were a lot of things on the market that I thought were good deals that we could look at anyway.
So let's talk about what you thought were good deals, because again, this is very recent. This is like within the last year. What were you kind of zeroing in on for metrics in terms of like, what was it, a certain price range and price to rent ratio? What did you look at?
I think I started off trying to do like the whole 15% for vacancy, maintenance, CapEx, and making sure that I could hit a couple $100s of cash flow after that in payment was my general kind of theme. So that was kind of number one. Will it make a healthy amount of money, or, a decent amount of money? And number two was, because my wife, I had kind of convinced into this, because prior to this, we were honestly we were thinking we were going to move to San Francisco or Austin or a major kind of tech hub and keep renting. The home, house hacking thing was something I had to get her on board with. And so it had to be something that she would enjoy too,
Okay.
So definitely like my wife's stamp of approval in terms of area and just, the aesthetics of it didn't matter, honestly.
Sure.
And I would say the third thing too was my father. We had decided it wasn't like a must have, but I wanted my father to move in with me. He was kind of renting a room, and my parents, for context, my parents are split up. They have been my whole life, but since he lives in the cities, I thought, you know what? It would help me offset the mortgage, and it would be a chance to repair and make up for lost time, this relationship. So that was important to me too, that we could kind of also have him with us, because it was just me and my wife at that point.
Yeah.
So the space that would accommodate, at least 3 people.
What I think nice about that is all real estate investing is personal, right? Like Adam does it different than I do it, and you do it different, but you can make it fit your life, if you realize that. So.
And you're also not completely zeroing in on the numbers in the spreadsheet. A guy who just left my home, he was here when you showed up today, a friend, owns a place with a price to rent ratio of like 1.6 or 7 probably, without a whole lot of CapEx needed. And dude, he's selling it because it's such a negative influence on his life. This place, I can just see it in him. Like, it's freaking killing. It's not killing him, but because of the location he bought in, and all sorts of different factors.
Is it crime or other stuff location wise?
It's he can't get a tenant that will be a good tenant, that will respect the place. That it's just problem after problem. His last tenant was renting out the rooms to homeless people.
Oh my God.
And
oh my God.
He hired a management. I don't want to say too much of this. I mean, I'm not saying his name, but yeah, just the point is like, okay, if this doesn't quite meet my 15% in the black, I'm not going to buy it. But like, I had a client ask me 2 days ago, like, what do you look for in a deal? And it's like, I look at the purchase price and what can it be worth? And is this an asset that I want in my life? That is really what I focus on. I'm buying places that are absolute break evens. Sometimes not. But, and breaking even is great if I have this huge equity spread, or if this is like a legacy building to give to your children someday. So anyways, I think you're thinking about like life stuff that improves your life, your relationship with your dad. Like, that's what it's all about. That's cool.
Going back to what you said though, Adam, a place that has a 1.6%, rent to price ratio is pretty awesome on paper, but it rarely tells the whole story. Sometimes it does. I mean, I've lucked into some winners. I don't know if I've ever gotten one that big or not right off the bat. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, because I don't calculate it afterwards because it kind of doesn't matter. You don't spend rent to price ratio, by the way. You spend dollars.
yes.
I think we forget that. But, I mean, it's one thing to like stare at a spreadsheet and come up with this is the right numbers. And then there's the one that fits your life and everything else. And I think that's what we're all talking about here. And it's kind of like a theme I'd like people that are listening who haven't bought yet to really understand that it's not entirely the spreadsheet.
Yeah, and actually, to that point, because we're talking about places I looked at, you had both just done a deal analysis on, there was this quadplex near Powderhorn, really big.
I know that one.
14 bed, 6 bath, right? And you had kind of looked at it as, what if you did Section 8 here? Or just, and you would be making so much money if you pulled all that off, right? And going over that, but you also outlined you're going to have problems. These tenants are going to, X, Y, and Z. It was not going to be like, it would have been something that would have been, I probably would have done if I was single, but with my wife, because I'm like, and I actually did try to convince her because I'm like, I will wrestle a pit bull to get my unit if I'm going to make that much from it, but we decided I'm not doing this. I'm not going to put her through this. Let's do this the right way. I don't need some slam dunk, get rich quick thing. Like, that's not the way to look at this first deal. So I don't think we even toured that one, but it was definitely not something that would have fit our lifestyle and our goals. It would have been a little bit, I think, too much stress, right?
I really liked that place. And like, even
you tried to buy it with your sister, right?
I did try to buy it with my sister. So I believed in it. And even like, saying what I just said, I also get really excited about massive cash flow for myself or a client. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't care about cash flow. I just want to put that out there. And that was the reason why I was so excited, is because of place would have made so much money for somebody.
Yes.
I could also handle renting out 3-bedroom, 1 bath in Powderhorn. Like, I could do that, or maybe it was 4 beds. Okay. So we looked at, then we looked at a triplex on Selby, and I think we offered on that one, didn't we?
We did, yeah. They were asking $500 for it. I offered, they were asking $550, I want to say, and I offered $5.
And asking for closing costs.
And and they didn't bite. And so I went up to, I think, $525 after that. And they still didn't want it. I think he was very firm on, like, I don't think he needed to sell. I think the guy was making a ton of cash from it and just, was waiting for the right pitch. And I really considered, I was going to offer asking, which I probably imagine we would have closed on it. But then we saw this beautiful side-by-side duplex hit the market that we're living in now, the Morton Street one. Yep. And I go and I tour it, and I kind of knew before we even got there that like, okay, this is the one I really, really want. I started getting those like heebie-jeebies, I'm just like, wow, okay, this is like a nice place. And it had this like really cool attic room that my dad could stay in. It was big, really big place. And it also had another thing I was looking for was I wanted a place that I could do some equitable expansion in, finish a basement, add a bath, and do something like that. Because my plan was to add some value, refinance, or do some sort of like cash out situation, and then use that for number 2. Was kind of like the plan. So
right. I want to put a pin in that thought
Sure.
and tie it to a different thought later. Keep going.
Okay. So,
and I'm ready. We're going to do a video overlay for those of you watching on YouTube, or we're going to actually go through this deal and look at it. So just so you know, if you want it, we can start going into the specifics whenever you're ready.
Yes. So we go, and I think we tried to nab it before it even hit the market, because it was like, I forget what Zillow says when they're kind of marketing it, but it's not technically on the market yet, like coming soon, something like that. And I call Adam, like, Adam, we hadn't even toured it yet. I hadn't even been inside, and I was like, I'm going to offer on it. And because we were able to find some pictures of like the inside from a previous rental listing that they had with the place. And I just felt like, you know what, if there's something wrong, we could probably kind of escape out of a inspection contingency, right?
Yeah.
So they had open house. They wanted us to at least see it first. We go and we tour it. I think the first day it's open, we offer a little bit over asking. And I guess now we can start going more into the specifics of the process, the deal you guys would like. Sure. So,
yeah, will you tell people the area? I mean, I know you said Morton Street, but let's talk about the area and what you think of it. Because again, for all the reasons we want to be neighborhood specific. So
it's in the west side of St. Paul. It is very close to the municipality of West St. Paul, the city. And it's, if you go down Robert Street and you're kind of that Hispanic area with El Burrito Mercado, it's right up there. So it's kind of a working class area. If I had to grade it, I'd say probably a C, maybe a C plus kind of neighborhood. And
Agreed.
It's
kind of high up on a hill, which is kind of important when you're in the house. That's actually a benefit, I'd say, except it might be a little slippery in the winter. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got this cool view. I love looking out the windows at night.
It's a sweet view. Yeah.
Yes.
It's to the east of Robert. So that's
Street.
kind of important because there's a lot of class like B plus, I would say, or maybe let's just call it B on the west side of Robert, and especially north of George, especially Cherokee Park. But this is price to rent ratios are going to be way better in this area. This is a neighborhood where you can buy a massive place that's going to make you money. Whereas if this were in Riverside, it would, it'd be quite a bit more without really that much of higher rents. Yep. So, but working class, C class is a great way to describe it. I'm guessing it's quiet. Like you don't hear like gunshots. You don't have people messing with you.
Mm-mm. And we had, my wife and I, for context, we were living downtown. We were renting where the Lunds and Barley's, it's now closed, but they had an apartment attached to that grocery store on 10th Street in downtown. So
anything's an upgrade.
It's funny because like we had this beautiful, really modern building, all these amenities, rooftop pool, fire pit, then you go outside and it's like there's people doing a rain dance in the middle of the street. It's just like, okay. And that was every day.
A rain dance?
Yeah, there's, people on who knows what doing kind of.
Drug users.
Yes.
That's what that was code for. Got it.
I maybe should have been more specific.
I had no idea what you meant.
Interpretive dance, we'll say. So it's not the, and where we had come from in Florida, we enjoyed being able to go outside and go on walks. And like, we didn't feel that you don't enjoy doing that in downtown. But my wife and I, in terms of like that's kind of part of our daily routine, is we'll go on walks together and we'll just kind of talk through the day. We didn't really feel comfortable doing that. And it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. This part of it's just being downtown in a city, but you're just constantly looking over your shoulder kind of feeling, and just like not able to chill out, I guess, when you're walking. So, and again, like we loved our building, and it served our needs, and I was super close. We both could walk to work because she works downtown as well. But
you get a heated attached garage with that building.
Yes,
that's nice.
So it was a beautiful building, and they do a great job there if you're looking to rent something. But the all that to say that going to a C-class neighborhood was something. It's been fine, and I'm happy we did, because there's a lot less of the keep up with the Joneses effect, I think, of like, you're living somewhere and nobody's driving like a, current year BMW or something, and you're just around working class and humble people,
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's an area that feels very safe, and that I would very comfortably buy more properties and continue to live in. I don't feel like, I have never felt unsafe or, man, I really got to get out of this place, and I also believe in that area coming up too. I think that there's a healthy amount of pride of ownership there, and I see a lot of good things in the immediate area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I would argue it is coming up, in the sense that, talk about leverage. The first house I ever bought was in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I think I put $5,500 down to buy it. I made $100,000 when I sold it.
Right.
That's some appreciation. That's some leverage right there. That's the
go.
West Side, man. It's appreciating, and they're cheaper. So,
yes.
Should we talk about this place? 8 bedrooms, 3 baths, duplex, side by side. The people watching this on video are going to be seeing it right now. What drew you to it initially?
It's really striking from the street. It's a very beautiful Victorian, and I think how well it fit our use case. And at the time, I was kind of looking to actually do Section 8 with the other side, and the numbers on that were just really, really phenomenal in terms of how much I would make and keep after, maintenance and vacancy and accounting for everything. We ended up not doing that, but what drew me was, it just really uniquely fit my use case. It was still very close to my office. I'm a 6-minute drive away, still living here. And it was a neighborhood that I honestly, when I moved there, I was like, this is a B neighborhood. I thought it was a little bit nicer than it actually ended up being, but it felt like a good place. We really enjoyed the kind of immediate area. So I think that was kind of what drew me in. And also, like I said, there was, how can I not mention? There was an unfinished, so the whole top floor was unfinished. One side was mostly like 90% finished. It technically would have been considered a bedroom if they just added heat. So to me, I'm thinking like, okay, I can spend like $200 on some baseboards, and I've just added 700 square living space, a bedroom, and so I'm like, I don't know why the seller wouldn't do that before selling, but I'm happy they didn't. And the other side, I could finish and do the same thing, was kind of my thinking. And it just looked like a big slam dunk in terms of like, there's a lot I can do here. There's an unfinished basement. I think a 4-1 is a good opportunity to add a bathroom and get a lot of value out of that. Because both units were 4-1 units. So it kind of fit all of it. It ticked all the boxes. It was pretty. My wife liked it. It fit our living use case, and I could have that equitable expansion with it.
And I'm sure we talked about bedrooms when we met. At least I would think we do, because
yes.
I lecture people on that one. So the 8-bedroom couldn't have been a bad thing, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Move-in ready.
Move-in ready.
Cosmetics.
Yep.
Yet you have the value add. That's
Exactly.
that sweet. That's that owner-occupant sweet spot. Whether you're buying single-family, multifamily, that's what you.
So here's one of the things I wanted to talk about. How much did you put down on the property?
I put down. It ended up being 10% down.
Yep.
I wanted to come in at 5%, but I made some mistakes during the loan process that it bumped it up to 10.
We had to do 10. That's right. Okay.
Yes.
You gonna tell folks about those?
Yeah. So don't open a credit card while you're closing on a deal. I was very excited, wealth of Brandon Turner knowledge that it just IV'd into my veins, and was like, I'm going to open up my own separate account for this thing, and I'm going to put all my, real estate transactions on one card. It's going to make accounting easy. I can get the points, go to Aruba, right? I'm thinking, this is phenomenal, right? And
Don't go to Aruba in your head prior to buying the property.
Yes, and I'm like, I'm on Aruba. I'm sitting on a beach. My tenants are paying my lifestyle. Like I'm in Narnia at this point. But then I get the call from Tim. Hey, your credit took a big hit. Now we got it. And it was just. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I had to put more down. And I will also say this is where having people who can very quickly inject money in your life. Shout out to my mom. Thank you very much. $22,000 loan. I did not have the money to close at 10%. So she came in. We could have done an FHA. I was worried, probably a little bit too worried about them backing out. I really, really liked the place. And I was like, I don't want to lose this. So she had kind of offered, hey, whenever you're buying your first place, I'll help you out with down payment. So I was like, you know what? Hey, Mom, could you help me out here? And so she did. So I love you, Mom. Thank you.
When you closed on this deal at $467, this is a great offer because list price is $439. They paid $14,000 in closing costs. So that's a net of like, what is that? $13,000 over list. 14,000 over list, which is like 14 grand's not going to make or break any deal. It's like, what is that? A couple percent, 2% of this deal, but it's enough for them to not let it go into multiple offers. Just take it off the market. I love the 14 grand over list offer.
And again, because it felt like this perfect fit for us, I was like, I really want to get this off them. I didn't want to lose the opportunity to buy it. And so we were,
You said a number that was the first number you wanted to offer. I think we reined you in a little bit.
Definitely. That sounds right. I think I was like 30 over list. It was my first offer. And you're like, hold on, Kevin. No, stop doing that. So thank you guys for saving me for $15,000.
But really, I mean, real quick, like just going back to that offer over ask, what's the gross rent potential on this property if you didn't live there?
So if I didn't live there now, just assuming that the other side would rent for what my current side is renting for. I'm renting my tenant side for $2,350, assuming I'd get the same. I think I would increase it a little bit.
Probably.
But $4,700, I also think that with maybe $8,000 to $12,000 of cosmetic investments, I could bump that up to $2,450 or $2,500.
So it's maybe $5,000 a month on the upper limit.
I would say 47 to 5.
Yeah. So you're still getting a property that's essentially a 1%er, right? But it's also a nice 1%. Because a lot of times the 1%ers, they're 1%er because they are cash cows, but they're not necessarily pretty and all the other things you mentioned. So
at the current interest rates, I think every deal I've sold this year is a 1%er for multifamily. Right? It has to be to work. I got somebody who's turning their nose up on like a 1.2 right now because it doesn't make enough. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't think it was for me and for what I was trying to do, it was a phenomenal deal. And I think it was a phenomenal deal because it was my first deal too. And I think even if it was a train wreck, it's still like, getting into the game is like, that's, there's a lot of value just in that, and so not saying to just go buy like literally anything, but it's like, I think we've been really, really happy. And I remember the feeling I had coming into it and realizing I'm getting like more than double the space. I was living in my 1-bedroom apartment and now I have my own office. Ashley has her office. My dad has his space. And after all rent comes in and everything, we're paying like less than $1,000 on the mortgage. And, it's just like, this is really easy for us, and I was really happy.
What are your fixed expenses? What's your payment with tax and insurance? And then when you move out, you'll be paying the water and trash, correct?
So I don't know water trash exactly. I can guesstimate it. The PITI is $37.75. Utilities, I want to say it's about $150 a month for water trash, and yeah, we would cash. I really should probably know these numbers better, but I think we would be cash flowing about 1,000, maybe 1,200 after we leave.
Yeah.
So.
And so I remember some things because early on, Kevin invited us over to see the place and have dinner and stuff, and we
A very good dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And we talked through some of this stuff, so I kind of know this, but I want to kind of tease it out of you. Can you tell us, you did some remodel, right, on the property, and you used some contractors that we use and hooked you up with. Can you tell us about how that went and also how the tenant interaction went? Because there's you've learned some things tenant interaction wise, so I'd love for you to go through that kind of like as it happened.
Sure. So again, when I come in to buy this place, excited about the equitable expansion, and what we decided to do was finish the attic on the tenant side. The side I was moving into was the side that was 90% finished. It didn't have heat, but my dad was going to be living there, and we knew he would be fine up there.
And they were paying less, right? So
Yes.
that was part of the reason why you wanted to do their side, so you could raise the rent.
Yeah, and initially the plan, like kind of the game plan before we moved in was, okay, we put them on a 90-day, because they were month to month when we came in. We put them on like a 3-month, okay, find a place to live, but we need you gone because we're going to do these renovations. And they came back. They were paying $1,850, by the way, at the time in rent. And that was under market. Market rent for 4-bed in the area is, low end is like $2,250. Upper end is like $26 for really nice, maybe single family. But they wanted to stay because they've been here for 4 years. And we're thinking, okay, they agreed to pay $2,350 in rent. But the caveat was like, we want to do these renovations because we were going to add a bedroom and then do Section 8 or just raise the rent and borrow on the added equity in the building was kind of the plan. So they agreed to it. And things got kind of hairy because they have a dog that had a history of biting people, and somebody had to be home so that my contractor wouldn't, get bitten by this pit bull thing. It was like a pit bull mix. Scary dog. And so I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, you know what? It's not going to be that bad because the attic was unfinished. They just had like boxes of their kids' stuff and they were using it for storage essentially. And so I'm thinking, okay, you know what? It's not going to be that bad because the contractor just has to go upstairs and work in the attic, and it will be okay that we're doing this work while they're living there. Because they agreed to that. Sorry, I'm jumping around. They agreed to that as well.
But we had talked through that at the dinner because I think you were concerned. I'm like, well, number one, I knew they had a pit bull, and so you had a lot of leverage because they can't go anywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
90% of landlords, if not 99, are going to say no to them because of their dog.
Yes.
So I'm like, you have a lot of leverage. You can tell them what you want to do.
Yes. But they had agreed to. They had, this was part of like we made an agreement. Like, you guys can continue to live here. We're not going to kick you out or make you, leave and find somewhere else. But you have to let us do these renovations. They're going to take about a month. We were quoted for them. And that was the thing. And so when they start, it becomes a problem because somebody has to be home to deal with the dog. And that becomes a bottleneck for us.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you already mention you're raising their rent as well? Correct? Did you mention that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I spaced out. Keep going.
No, that's okay. So the dog ends up becoming a bottleneck because somebody has to be home. And you know what? I'm thinking to myself, I'm still in my initial stage with these tenants. They could end up being long-term tenants. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing too, right? I'm coming into their home and, sure, I'm giving them like a new bathroom, a new bedroom, all this stuff, but it's still like I'm in their space. I own it, but I wouldn't, if in their position, I wouldn't be ecstatic about renovations happening along there, And so I'm trying to be as gracious as I can. I actually offered to pay for boarding for the dog during the duration of the renovations. She said no to that. I asked, is there somebody else that can home the dog during the time? She says no to that. And then what's happening is that like my contractor is not exactly on time, which I'll be honest, was kind of annoying, but it's like, it's also his work was good. Things were like he was banging the job out. The quality was there. And I'm just like, you know what? I also care about my relationship with this contractor. So I'm not going to ride his ass about like, hey, you're supposed to show up at 8:30 show. Like he doesn't work for him. I'm not his boss, and I'm not willing to jeopardize my relationship with my contractor. My tenant's really getting on my nerves. And the last straw for me was I offered, look, they make these, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is such a stupid problem. Like it's a dog that just needs to stay downstairs while somebody's upstairs. That's not that hard of a problem to solve. I'm thinking there's got to be a bookcase. There's got to be something. There must be a better way than texting back and forth daily, with this woman. And the last straw for me was I Amazon searched like heavy duty dog gate, because I knew I could install one. And I'm like, I will buy this. I will install it and I will remove it when we're done. And she said no to that. And I'm just like, okay, you agreed to this. We can break this agreement and you can be out by the end of the month if you'd like. And if you want to go that route, that's fine. But every solution I'm bringing, it's like there's people in the world that they will complain, not because they want help, but because it makes them feel good, and it scratches some itch. I don't know what. And I'm talking, this situation was frustrating. This is still a current tenant of mine. So I also want to be like, but I'm giving my perspective. I was so mad, at the time. And
we talked about it. And I remember I was much more hardcore about it than you. And I'm like, yes. Kevin, you gave everything. You've bent over backwards. Now it's time to throw your weight around, basically. Yes. And you did. And it worked perfect, right?
Yes, it did. And, I very much was like, look, this is how it is. And I have a problem with you having a problem with it. This is like, these renovations are happening. They're going to be done at the end of the month. We are not discussing this again. And we didn't discuss it again. Funnily enough, it just became not a problem. And renovations somehow. And the renovations finished.
What did you get exactly out of the renovations, and how much did you spend?
So in total, I spent $22,000, and that added 2 mini split the heat to both sides. And I'm also taking out like the rebate and the kind of, I'm sort of cost adjusting the mini splits, because that was like a $7,000 job that really only cost me about $2,000. So I'm kind of cost adjusting for that.
The rebate is real, so I would say you're doing it the right way.
Yes. So after I added 2 mini splits, one to each attic side, which is, they're cold weather rated, so it's heat in the winter and AC in the summer to the attics. And then added a bedroom to the upstairs attic unit. I don't know that I'm going to call it a bedroom. It's kind of a wonky space. I'm still undecided if it's a bedroom or a loft. But added square footage, about 800 feet on the one side.
People use lofts as bedrooms, and it's completely private. I know what you're talking about. I've been up on the one side. Yes. It's completely private. It's a bedroom.
It's a bedroom.
Yeah.
So we added a bedroom. We added, technically 2 bedrooms, because the other side was unfinished and it just needed the heat. So for $22,000, 2 bedrooms, 1 full bathroom, and 2 mini splits. About, I want to say 1,400 square living space.
And you improved like the laundry setup, correct? As part of the bathroom thing. Didn't you have to move the laundry, but then it became more stackable and better? Or was that?
No.
Was that just a plan you were thinking about?
That was a plan, but Miguel came in and he was like, "Hey, look, we have an opportunity to stack the thing here. We'll save cost on the installing." So we ended up going with that.
That's such an awesome price with the rebate, a bathroom, and all that square footage. The return on that $22,000 is more incredible than like your down payment, probably. So that's cool.
Yes, yeah. And I guess that from there, I will say, as frustrating as that was, it was a valuable experience for me. I'm a very affectionate person. I am very I like people. I try to be as nice as I can to everybody all the time. I love, I'm a golden retriever.
Yes,
we'll say. And
yes, you are.
And the thing is, I love that about myself. I don't ever want to change that. I don't want to become jaded and hardened and hard boiled by crappy tenants.
I don't want to be you, Tim. But it's okay. I get it. I have my wife do it because I'm like, oh, you'll be nicer about this.
Yes,
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So, it's funny because my wife is like, Kevin, you need to talk to these people like you're in HR. And I think that's actually really good advice as a landlord. It depends on the tenant. But, I want to give more than I probably should, just as a baseline.
Sure.
And again, I don't want to change that about myself. And I think that's probably going to, as long as I can temper it and not give everything away, I believe that it will be a net positive for me over the life of the business because it's a people business.
You're not going to look back on your life and regret being like, oh, I was